RZ09001, CV09003, 5395 Roswell Road. The applicant is requesting to rezone the subject property from OI conditional to OI to allow for church use in the existing building. The proposal also includes enclosure of a 30-car parking deck beneath the building to increase the size of the building. The applicant is also requesting 3 concurrent variances. The petition was heard at the May 21st Planning Commission hearing and the June 16th Mayor and City Council hearing, and was deferred to this meeting and to the August 18th council hearing. Staff is recommending approval conditional of the rezoning and concurrent variances, not including the enclosure of the 30-car parking deck beneath the building. Staff, during the deferral period, received a parking analysis from the applicant and determined that the enclosure of the parking structure would not provide sufficient parking for the proposed development. So that's our recommendation, and conditions are outlined in the staff reports included in your package.
Back to what you were just, your narrative you just gave us. You said staff received a parking study that concluded, or are you disputing the parking study? I'm not sure what you're...
We reviewed the parking study and determined that based on the operation of the facility, the parking, if it was enclosed, would not be sufficient for the development.
That was in the parking study that the applicant gave to you, or that was your conclusion?
That was our conclusion.
Thank you. Okay. Woody?
Members of the board, my name is Woody Galloway with Dillard & Galloway. I'm here representing the Church of Scientology in this application for rezoning and for variances. This application concerns a 1.78 acre tract of land in the northeast corner of Roswell Road and Glenridge Drive. The property is currently zoned O&I. We are seeking a rezoning to O&I to change the conditions to allow the Church of Scientology to operate their church at this site. As you're aware, there has been a great deal of interest in this case. We have worked with some of the community leaders to try to narrow issues and to try to address concerns. One of the issues that was raised with the last analysis done by staff was with regard to a parking analysis. Parking has been the big issue in this case, whether there's adequate parking based on the 81 spaces that are located at this facility. And in that regard, we have not only performed a parking study, which was submitted and reviewed by staff and summarily ignored, but we have also tried to address really the use of the facility, and that's what I would like to do right now, is call on Bob Adams, who is the Vice President of the Church of Scientology International. He's out of LA, and he would like to go over some of the specific reasons why the amount of space is basically being overcounted. Thank you.
Thank you, members of the board. Thank you for seeing us this evening. Thank you. There is a misconception. It's not just within this body. Yes, sir.
Your name and address.
My name is Bob Adams. My address is totally 6331 Hollywood Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. And I'm here visiting because we have ongoing projects around the world in the building of churches of Scientology. And over a number of years, a span of years, decades, it was discovered, based on best use, that the minimum requirement for a Church of Scientology to effectively service its parishioners was no less than 40,000 feet, plus or minus a few feet, and up to 65,000 square feet, depending upon the availability of buildings and the reconstruction to create a Church of Scientology. Now, the reason that it requires that many square feet is that much of the area is public. That is, and I can show you here, if you see the yellow area.
Mr. Adams, you can take that microphone with you.
Thank you. My recording availability. Thank you very much. This is the entrance into the church, the main entrance, and it enters into what we call the public area. Public area services the community. People can come in, and on large display panels, including flat screen TVs, there's roughly 12 major areas that they can come in and learn about Scientology via audiovisual. And they're very pretty. They're made generally of wood paneling, and they're quite handsome. And a person can meander through here and learn basically the source of Scientology, where it came from, about L. Ron Hubbard, the founder, different programs, and our social activities, social betterment activities, from drug education to literacy programs, to volunteer organizations called our Volunteer Ministers Program, of which we have 195,000 volunteers around the world in many of our church areas. And that's really wide open. Inclusive of this first floor is we have a bookstore area, which is this area, which is essentially rows and rows of books and tapes or CDs in packages. And this is also wide open, and then there's bathrooms and stairwells and a couple of smaller offices. So this area right here, which is a large segment of the first floor, is really for the public introduction of Scientology services. Over on this side, there are introductory course rooms, meaning areas for study of our introductory programs, which are used, and those are where students who sign up come in and take their first introductory courses. And these are general usage. There are specific courses that if they're interested in taking, they can come over here and they're supervised through their course, and then they would go to the next floor for their next services, which would go up, which, let me get that. So floor 2, one comes up the stairwell or the elevator, and they come up into a foyer area, stairwell and so forth. Bear with me on this. The flow chart, or the flow pattern here, is a little bit deceiving, and this is part of the misconception about square footage and space. People study in theory, and then they move into a practical area. So about half of this green area that you see here is only being used half of the time by the students. Then they move to the other half. So it flows back and forth. So the number of students in these areas of study float back and forth. Also, there's daytime students and nighttime students. So total number of students is not only divided by the square footage and the number of students in it per capita, but it's not a full-time use in either of the course rooms. They go from one, then to the other, and then back and forth. So one is full, then one empty. So they go back and forth. So you could take this space and divide it by 2, in essence. These areas over here are offices, and this is a library. So this is also just a library, it's quite a bit of space. The next station, the next floor covers additional religious services. These little blocks, these are small rooms all around here. This is where the parishioners receive spiritual counseling.